Hey guys, welcome back to another video in this channel. Today we're gonna continue with our character, with the stylized infected character that we've been doing. So I'm back. My throat is still recovering. I would say in the last couple of days probably of my recovery, so I'm feeling way better. Thank you everyone for your understanding and your patience before we continued with this series. By the way, if you haven't seen it, we uploaded two very special videos of the last couple of days. We uploaded one special preview of our Marbles Designer course, which I finished a couple of months ago, and the one for our Hard Surface course, which I finished, I believe it was early January or February, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, those two courses are available on Skillshare, and you guys know that we have our little promo. So here we go. Hey guys, Abraham here. I just want to remind you guys that we upload all of our courses to Skillshare. Skillshare is this amazing site where you can access a ton of different content to learn, improve, and grow as an artist. We have all of our courses available to watch and learn from right now in Skillshare. You can check the description down here, and Skillshare is offering 1 free month trial to their premium membership. With this membership, you're going to be able to access all of our courses and watch and learn all of the amazing things that we cover with all of the softwares. So, what are you waiting for? Check Skillshare down here below. There we go. So let's jump into our stuff. Let's jump onto our character right here. This is where we left off. This was the last time I was struggling. I was watching the video like before recording this one, and oh my god, my voice was really bad. I sometimes don't know when to stop, and I don't like to let people down. So, but yeah, I definitely needed a rest a couple of days ago. So yeah, we saw each other, by the way, on the live stream for the Maxon event. That was the day after I recorded this one. I was feeling a little bit better then. So if you haven't checked it out, there were not a lot of like new stuff. I was actually a little bit disappointed about the announcement. I thought that we were gonna announce more like interesting stuff with ZBrush, especially since right now the community is not like super thrilled about the fact that they bought ZBrush, right? So we're never, it's not that we're not happy, we're just scared about all of the things that we were used to, like annual releases, free updates, stuff like that, changing as time goes by. However, well, that's the way capitalism works, so unfortunately we have to adapt to it. So for this character, the next thing that we need to do is the little tabard. So this one right here. And to be honest, if I had to do this for a project, I'll probably do this two pieces inside of Maya, just because I'm a little bit faster using the Maya modeling tools or in Blender, any of those. But I want to show you a technique that we can use to create like this basic shape right here. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with a cube. So I'm gonna go here to the options, and we're gonna use a little bit of C Modeler again. So let's go to a little star. There we go. And on the initialize properties of the star, I'm going to change this to a key cube. And as you can see, this key cube is a 2x2 cube. It's fine, but as you can see, I probably need a couple more divisions. So I'm going to say 3x3x3 and say key cube. There we go. That's going to be a little bit easier to manage. Now I'm going to make this a polymesh 3D. I'm going to go back here to the character. And I'm going to say subtool, append, and we're going to append that little guy right here. Now we're gonna look for it. There it is, and we're gonna move it there. Cool. So I'm gonna scale this so that we have like the roughly the thickness that we need, which is about there. It's gonna be way thinner, so about there. As you can see, it goes a little bit beyond the little spikes of our little sun there, so probably about there. It starts right about there, and then you can see that the shape it flares out a little bit, right? Like this part right here flares out a little bit, and then it tapers back down. So I'm gonna scale this up until we get like the proper length where it starts flaring out, which as you can see is right about the knees. And we can use a deformer here on the geometry or on the deformer tab, which is called taper. So right now, if we go here to taper, you can see that it's on X and Z. So if I push this, we get like this weird effect. But if I get rid of the Z axis and we taper just on X, you can see that slide right there. So I think actually we need the taper on C. No, see the Y then? I mean, that is an option. I'm going to use a different option. I'm just going to use my move brush, to be honest. It's going to give it a little bit more of an organic look. And since we have very few polygons, it should be fairly easy to create what I need, which is something like that. So taper out. It even kind of like tapers in a little bit here towards the center. So I am tempted to just like push this in a little bit like that. There we go. And then we got this spike right here. So for the spike, I'm going to go to this polygroup. I'm going to go to my C modeler, and we're going to use QMesh on polygroup island. And we're going to push this down like so. And then what we can do is we can just grab this guy, or we can go into scale and say polygroup island and scale it this in. Well, not exactly. Let's do a shift. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now with my move brush, and since we do have like this symmetry option turned on, I should be able to just like push this thing down and create like a nice little base mesh. Because at the end of the day, this is going to become a base mesh, right? Like we're gonna sculpt everything. So there we go. I do think it's a little bit too big. So again, with my move brush, I'm just gonna like tweak the shape a little bit more. And what I want to do is I actually want to dynamesh this thing to give it like the thickness that we're eventually going to have. Now this guy, I'm going to definitely make the thickness a little bit thinner, push it forward, and now I'm just going to hit dynamesh. And as you can see, we get this, which is just the shape. Now this is cloth, so the cool thing about cloth, it's a little bit more malleable than any other elements, right? It's very flowy. So even if it's not like perfectly symmetrical, we can work with this thing. So I'm just gonna start like pushing this out so there's not a lot of overlap. If we're thinking about an eventual like rigging of this character, which I saw some of the comments that you guys want us to rig this, which I'm happy to oblige. I know that there's a couple of things that I need to take into account. So these are pants, right? So we see through the pants, or not through the pants, but we see the whole pant, and this thing is just hanging on the front. So eventually we are gonna need to retopologize this thing on both sides, okay? So this is not one of those occasions where I want this to be a single-sided geometry. It's probably gonna be like a solid geometry with like a little chain of bones that's gonna allow me to move it if I need to. I'm gonna go to the pants right here. And just with my move brush, I'm just going to start pushing this thing in, because this sort of like tabard is supposed to be like going on top of the pants, right? So here, I'm going to use my trim dynamic to start beveling, smoothing out this sort of effect. We probably are going to have to move this little like sun icon like further out. And then again, with my move brush, I'm just going to push this. And again, it's not about like making it actually go on top of the pants. It's just making sure that it looks like it's going on top of the pants. So a lot of 3D work and a lot of character work, especially for a stylized character like this one, it's more about making sure it looks like what it is rather than actually making it what it is. Now, for the little gold trim that we have right here, we have two options. We can sculpt it out of this single piece or sculpt it as a different piece. So imagine there's like a different kind of cloth that got stitched together, or maybe like a metal little film that got like put together on top of this thing. There's options. I think I want to show you the second option, which is separate pieces. And before we do any like sort of breaking elements or breaking points, I'm gonna do this. So since we do have a good amount of resolution, I should be able to fairly quickly mask out and pretty much draw the shape that I want, which is that one right there. Now, the more polygons you have, the tighter the mask is going to be. But since this is supposed to be like a torn piece, I don't think we need to go like super intense. Let's go down here. This one, as you can see, is slightly thicker than this one. That's the kind of details that you need to visualize when you're doing this sort of stuff. Now, if this was complete, I would imagine this going all the way over here. And then we have the sun. Like this. That's the sun. It goes, as you can see, it goes from that point. So I need to go a little bit higher. There we go. It goes like that. It's like this nice little arch. There we go. So as you can see, this shape is way bigger than what I have. So let's get more options there. Those are the kind of details that art directors really take into account when you're working on a piece. Like, they want you to match what the concept artist did as close as possible in proportion, especially in proportion. So we want this to be like a big shape. And then we have our triangle, how high it goes. Like, look at the distance between this and this. That's the distance that we want to mimic right there. And then we have like two small ones right over here, a little bit more to the side like this. I'm gonna thin out a little bit on the border there, so we can see a little bit more of that sort of effect. There we go. Again, if we had a little bit more geometry, we could get a little tighter mask, but this is fine. This is gonna work. You can see that we have a like stuff right there, like square, like little stuff right there. Oh, should let me. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that looks a lot closer. And we still keep this nice little like section right here. It's like a little space in between the stuff. There we go. So now we're going to use the extract option. So I'm going to go to geometry or subtool, sorry, extract, and I'm going to hit extract. And what it does, as you can see, is it's going to extract a piece of the geometry. But right now it's really ugly, right? Like really, really bad, really, like not nice. So the first thing we can do is clean up our masks a little bit, especially like the border here. We don't want to select anything on the front facing border, which unfortunately the mask does when we're painting it. So we just want this, make sure that we repaint anything that we missed, like that. And I'm gonna bring that thickness down to 0. So when we extract and I hit accept, we're gonna get this tool right here. I'm gonna hit dynamic solo. Oh. Come on. There we go. We get this. So this is what we want, right? Like this is the geometry that we want. Unfortunately, it's not looking exactly like we want. So I'm gonna use my move brush first, and I'm just gonna like polish a little bit of the borders before we start doing anything. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a nice little tool called Series Measure. Some of you guys already know this one. So Series Measure, and we're just gonna hit Series Measure. And what this should do is, as you can see, it's gonna like reduce the amount of elements. There's also another option down here on the formation called Polish by Features. So I can push this, and as you can see, it's gonna like tighten up the effect right here. And then I'm gonna go back to geometry, hit one more time Series Measure, and then I'm gonna hit half. And what half will do is it will, each time I hit Series Measure, it will try to bring the topology down to half and half and half and half. Probably something like this is good. As you can see, this is a way more workable topology than what we had before. And this is what we're gonna be using to build or to create the gold border for our character. So let's bring this back. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to C Modeler, and since this is a single poly group, it's very easy to just go to a, let's go to like a face. I'm going to say Q Mesh, polygroup, or polygroup all, and just like extrude this out like this. And that is going to give us the sort of like golden effect. Now, of course, if we subdivide right now, it's going to look really bad. And the reason why is we need a couple of support edges. So since we're in the, what's the word, in the C Modeler, we can go into Edge Action and hit Insert. And I'm going to insert an edge loop like on the top and on the back. So when we smooth, as you can see, it holds the shape a little bit better. That's it. Now I'm going to divide a couple of times, delete the divisions, and I'm going to hit Dynamesh, but with Polish turned on. And that should give me a nice, like, strong effect. Probably need to increase the resolution a little bit more. Let's Dynamesh. There we go. And eventually, the only thing I need to do is I just need to go to a couple of these places and bring this back into the area where the main points are. We can of course use our move brush here to sharpen some of the points here on the tunic, like this. But the cool thing is they're two separate pieces. So eventually, if we were to say similar to what we did before, RGB. And say, let's grab this like gold color and say color fill object. Now we're going to start getting this sort of effect. Now remember, this is going to look even way better once we texture this. Because right now this is just like a flat color, and I'm not particularly fond of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my trim dynamic here, and I'm going to flatten out the surface of the element. So it looks like a nice thin piece of metal has been hammered into this specific like piece of clothing. As I mentioned, this is one technique that we can use to create this sort of like pattern. I think it goes well with this sort of like stylized like character that we have right here. But another thing we could very easily do is just like sculpt it from the piece that we had before. Here on the top, very important that we actually like bring this thing around. Again, so all of this looks like it's part of the same thing. I would even be inclined to paint like this borders golden, But the cool thing is that now with this thing, we are going to have a little bit of depth. Instead of having just like an alpha or like a color, we're actually going to have some depth on the actual belt itself. So yeah, this is that's pretty much it for that one. I think because right now the only thing that we're missing are the webbing and the like nails and stuff for the model. Of course, the little like spider eggs. But we also have this little like little what's the word? Like sack. So let's finish this one on this video so that we have all of the props ready, and then we can jump on the other ones, on the other pieces on the next video. So I'm gonna use my move brush here, and I'm just gonna, you know, push or create some of those little like effects over there. Now, someone corrected me on one of the last videos, and I really appreciate it because I really wasn't sure what I forgot about the one of the tools that we were using, which was the curve tool, and I forgot that for the curve tool to properly work, you need to be in the subtool that you want to go around. So you guys remember that I was trying to do this like a rope on the other leg, and I inserted a sphere, and I tried to use that like stuff, and it didn't work. That's because I did not select the tool. I need to do it on top of the tool that we're working with. So in this case, since we're working on this like little boot right here, now if I go into my B and then I say curve tube, I should be able to draw and then press shift, and as you can see now I create this like nice round effect going across the whole thing. So I'm gonna make this way thinner, and you can see that it has a little bit of a hard time calculating, but there we go. That's it. And now we have the little like handle going around the thing. Now, if you want to do Dynamesh, but you don't want both elements to be combined, that's very, very important. We're going to go to Geometry and Dynamesh. And we're going to select this option called Groups. So that when we Dynamesh, they're only going to, or the groups are only going to Dynamesh themselves. So they're not going to be like joined or pasted together with any other group. Let's push this so that it's really, really like hugging the foot. Because one of the things is we definitely want this thing to look like it's tightening around the character. So we need to keep like the tension of the rope, right? That's it. I'm gonna go to this one, back to this one, BTD, which is thermodynamic, and I wanna like just flatten out some of the things right here, especially like on the bottom, since this character is supposed to be like supporting his whole feet on this one, like the back should look like pretty flat, right? Later on, if we want to like move it or just change the rotation or whatever, we can do it, but I kind of want to make sure it looks pretty cool like this. There we go. And we can even add a little like effect, you guys remember. So let's increase the resolution on the Dynamesh. I'm just gonna add this little like nice rope texture on this cord that we have going around the character's feet. Dynamesh, and there we go. So cool. Now, as you can see, guys, we're pretty much done with all of the props. The pants are ready. The little tabard here is ready. I think it looks okay. This guy is ready. The other foot is ready, and it's time to jump to one of the most tricky ones or tricky parts, which is going to be the webbing, right? Like all of this webs going around the character. I'm still not super sure how I'm gonna do it. I think it's gonna have to be some sort of like organic-y, like. It's gonna be very sculptural. It has to be very sculptural. So I'm gonna think about how to best approach this, and yeah, tomorrow we'll work on this. So that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for your patience. Make sure to check out yesterday's video and the ones from the couple of days. I think they're very valuable, and it's a free lesson, so you're welcome. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, guys. I'll see you back tomorrow. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and have a good one. Bye bye.